In the vast silence of space, a small research vessel named Horizon drifted between unfamiliar stars. The ship's metal hull gleamed under the light of distant suns as it moved through an area most ships avoided. Science Officer Jaiwo sat alone in the dim light of the research lab. Her four eyes focused on the screen before her, watching strange patterns move across it. For 3 days, she had tracked something unusual, a signal that should not exist. This cannot be right, she whispered to herself, her thin fingers tapping commands into her console. The signal was weak but steady, coming from a place where no signal should be. Jaiwa's skin, normally a pale blue, darkened with excitement. She pressed the ship's communication button. "Commander Dohayan, please come to the research lab. I found something important." Minutes later, Commander Dohayan entered. His tall form moved gracefully despite the ship's artificial gravity. The transparent patches on his skin glowed with a soft blue light. "What did you find, Jaiwo?" he asked, his deep voice curious. "A signal, sir. It's coming from the dead zone." Dohayan's skin pulsed with sudden color. The dead zone, every space traveler knew of it. Long ago, it had been home to creatures called humans who lived on a planet called Earth. Their civilization had vanished thousands of years ago, leaving only ruins and stories. "That's impossible," said Dohayan. "Nothing has lived there for 50,000 years." Jaiwo pointed to her screen. "The signal matches old human patterns we've found in ancient records. But it's still active, still broadcasting. How can anything still work after so long?" Dohayan wondered. "I don't know," said Jaiwo. "That's what makes this so strange." Dohayan leaned closer to the screen, his eyes narrowing. "Can you tell what the signal says?" "Not yet. It uses old human codes. I need more time to understand it." The commander straightened up. "Keep working on it. I'll inform the crew of our new destination." "Sir?" "We're going to the dead zone, Jaiwo. The council will want to know about this." The ship's meeting room filled quickly as crew members gathered. Voices mixed with the low hum of the ship's engines. Everyone had questions. Why change course? Why head to the dangerous dead zone? Commander Dohayan stood before them, his skin now a calm green. "Today, Officer Jaiwo discovered something that may change our understanding of history. A signal, coming from the human dead zone, still active after 50,000 years." Murmurs spread through the room. A young engineer named Taehyun raised his hand. "Sir, is it dangerous?" "The old stories say humans were unpredictable." "We don't know yet," Dohayan answered honestly. "But this signal should not exist. Human technology was primitive. Nothing they built should still work after so long." Jaiwo stepped forward. "The signal follows a pattern. It repeats every 7 minutes. This suggests it's artificial. Not some natural space phenomenon." The ship's pilot, Minji, spoke next. "How long will it take to reach the source?" "At maximum speed, 17 days, said Dohayan. "We'll be the first ship to enter the dead zone in over 200 years. Some crew members looked nervous. The dead zone had a bad reputation. Stories told of ships that entered and never returned. But others looked excited. This could be a historic discovery. "Our mission has changed," continued Dohayan. "We will find the source of this signal and learn what it means. If something of human creation still functions after all this time, we need to know why and how." Later that night, Jaiwo worked alone in her lab. The signal data flowed across her screen, mysterious and compelling. She had isolated part of the message, a repeating sequence of numbers that seemed to be counting something. The door slid open, and Commander Dohayan entered. "You should rest," he said. "Soon," Jaiwo replied, not looking away from her work. "I feel like I'm close to understanding something important." Dohayan moved to stand beside her. "What do the humans want to tell us after all this time?" "Maybe they never meant to tell us anything," said Jaiwo. "Maybe this message was meant for someone else." The commander's skin darkened. "For whom?" "For other humans," Jaiwo said softly. The old records say their final message to the galaxy was remember us. We will return. What if this signal is connected to that promise? Outside the ship's windows, stars streaked by as the horizon accelerated toward the dead zone. Somewhere ahead lay the remains of a long-vanished civilization and one small, impossible signal that refused to die. The ship's library was quiet except for the soft sound of Miho turning pages in an ancient book. As the ship's historian, he had spent many years studying the mysterious humans. Now, with the ship heading toward the dead zone, his knowledge was suddenly very important. Miho was different from the rest of the crew. His skin was not blue or green but a deep orange with small spots. His people lived for hundreds of years and kept records of all important events in the galaxy. When Commander Dohayan had called him to join the mission, Miho had brought his most precious books, real paper books about humans. "May I join you?" asked Jaiwu, standing at the door. She looked tired after many hours studying the signal. "Please," said Miho, pointing to a chair. "I was just reading about Earth's final days." Jaiwu sat down. "Did you find anything that might explain our signal?" "Perhaps." Miho picked up a thin, worn book with a faded cover. "This is one of the oldest accounts we have. It was written by the first explorers who found Earth after the humans disappeared." He opened the book carefully. The pages were yellow with age. "They found an empty planet," Miho explained. "Cities standing but no people. Machines still running. Food on tables." It was as if all humans had suddenly vanished at the same moment. "What happened to them?" asked Jaiwu. "No one knows for certain," said Miho. "But there are stories." He reached for another book, this one bound in some kind of blue material. "Some believe the humans destroyed themselves with their own weapons. Others think a disease killed them all. But the most interesting story is this one." Miho turned to a page marked with a thin ribbon. The explorers found research centers where humans had been working on something they called mind uploading, moving human thoughts from bodies into machines. Jaiwu's 4 eyes widened. "Is that possible?" "For us, no. But humans were strange. They developed technology very quickly. They went from simple flying machines to space travel in less than 100 years. Most species take thousands of years to do that." The door opened and Commander Dohayan entered with Taehyun, the young engineer. "We thought we might find you here," said Dohayan. "What have you learned?" Miho gestured to his books. "I was just telling Jaiwu about human technological development. They were remarkably fast learners." "Could their technology survive 50,000 years?" asked Taehyun. "Nothing we build lasts more than a few hundred." "Unlikely," said Miho. But humans were unpredictable. They sometimes built things that seemed foolish but worked surprisingly well. Miho stood and walked to a small machine in the corner. He pressed a button, and an image appeared in the air above it, a round, blue-green planet. "This is Earth as it once was," he said. "Beautiful, wasn't it? Humans called it the blue marble dot." The image changed to show tall buildings, flying vehicles, and humans walking on busy streets. "Their cities were crowded and noisy," continued Miho. "They lived short lives, less than 100 years, but they built amazing things." The image changed again, showing strange symbols carved into stone. "This was found on every continent of Earth," said Miho. "Made just before the humans vanished. It shows their final message." Commander Dohayan stepped closer. "What does it say?" "The same thing they broadcast to space, remember us. We will return." For a moment, everyone was quiet, thinking about these words from long ago. "Do you believe they will?" asked Jaiwu finally. "I don't know," said Miho. But something strange happened in their final days. All their electronic communications suddenly carried the same mathematical sequence, followed by those words. "Like a code?" asked Taehyun. "Perhaps," said Miho. "Or a promise." The image changed one last time to show a simple drawing, a circle with an arrow pointing outward. "This symbol was everywhere too," said Miho. "No one knows what it means." Jaiwu gasped. That symbol, it's hidden in our signal. A pattern that repeats every 7 minutes. Everyone looked at her in surprise. Are you certain? Asked Do-hyun. Yes, said Jaiwoo. I didn't recognize it until now. Miho's orange face seemed to glow with excitement. Then this is not just any signal. It's their signal, the humans' final message, still broadcasting after all this time. But why? Asked Taehyun. Why send a message no one would hear for thousands of years? That, said Miho, is what we need to find out. Outside the library window, the stars seemed to watch them, silent witnesses to a mystery that had waited 50,000 years to be solved. The horizon slowed as it entered the edges of what was once called the solar system. The crew stood silently on the bridge, looking at the main screen. No ship had been here for hundreds of years. Some said this place was cursed. Scan complete, said Hyun-woo, the engineering officer. His fingers moved quickly over the control panel. No signs of danger. Commander Do-hyun nodded. Show us what's out there. The screen changed to show a yellow star, smaller and older than in the history books. Around it moved large planets of gas and ice, following their ancient paths. Where is Earth? Asked Jaiwoo, searching the screen. It should be the third planet from the star, said Miho. But I don't see it. Hyun-woo adjusted the scan. There's something in the third orbit, but it's not a planet. It looks like rocks, thousands of rocks circling the star. Miho's orange skin paled. Earth is gone. Destroyed. The crew fell silent. They had known Earth was dead, but finding it completely shattered was shocking. The signal, Jaiwoo said suddenly. Is it still there? Hyun-woo checked his instruments. Yes. Stronger now. It's coming from beyond the 8th planet. Take us there, ordered Do-hyun. Slowly. The horizon moved carefully through the silent system. They passed the giant planets, huge balls of swirling gases. They saw moons covered in ice. Everything was just as the old books described, except for Earth. Signal source located, said Hyun-woo after several hours. It's a small object, not natural. On screen, said Do-hyun. The image showed empty space at first. Then they saw it, a small box tumbling slowly through the darkness. It was not much bigger than their smallest shuttle. That's it, asked Taehyun. That's what's been broadcasting for 50,000 years? It appears so, said Hyun-woo. It's made of simple metal. No special protections. By all logic, it should have stopped working ages ago. Can we bring it aboard? Asked Do-hyun. Hyun-woo looked uncertain. It seems safe. No energy weapons, no dangerous materials. Just a simple box with some kind of power source inside. Prepare the capture field, ordered Do-hyun. Bring it into Holding Bay 3. An hour later, the crew gathered outside the holding bay. Through a clear wall, they could see the human artifact, a plain metal cube with no markings. It looked so ordinary, so simple. It's still broadcasting, said Jaiwoo, watching her scanner. The signal hasn't changed. How can it still have power? Asked Taehyun. Nothing lasts that long. Humans were full of surprises, said Miho. They often did what seemed impossible. Commander Do-hyun turned to Hyun-woo. Is it safe to open? Scans show nothing dangerous, replied Hyun-woo. But we should be careful. They put on protective suits before entering the bay. The air felt cold around the human artifact, as if it brought the chill of deep space with it. Up close, they could see that the box was not perfectly smooth, it had small marks and dents from its long journey. There's a seam here, said Hyun-woo, pointing to one side. I think it opens. Very carefully, he pressed a small tool into the seam. With a soft hiss, the top of the box lifted slightly. Still sealed after all this time, whispered Miho. Amazing. Hyun-woo opened the box fully. Inside was a simple arrangement of metal parts and crystal pieces. At the center was a small cylinder that glowed with a soft blue light. That's the power source, said Hyun-woo. But it's impossible. It should have died thousands of years ago. What else is in there? Asked Dohyun. Jaiwoo pointed to something at the bottom of the box. There's a data crystal. It must hold the message. Can we read it? Asked Dohyun. I think so, said Jaiwoo. The technology is simple, just very, very old. They carefully removed the crystal and took it to the ship's lab. Jaiwoo connected it to their computer system. At first, nothing happened. Then the ship's speakers came to life with a sound none of them had ever heard before, a human voice. The words were strange, but the ship's computer translated. This is the final record of humanity. If you are hearing this, we have succeeded. Our bodies may perish, but our consciousness endures. The Transcendence Project was our last hope. We are no longer bound to physical form. We will watch. We will wait. And when the time comes, we will return. Asterisk. When the message ended, no one spoke. They stood in the quiet lab, surrounded by stars that had once looked down on human beings. They didn't die, said Miho finally. They changed themselves into something else. Is that even possible? Asked Taehyun. 50,000 years ago, I would have said no, answered Miho. But now? Who knows what they became? News of the Horizon's discovery spread quickly across the galaxy. Ships from many worlds rushed to the human system to see the artifact for themselves. The Galactic Council sent its best scientists to study the strange box and its impossible message. The Horizon returned to the main space station with the artifact safely stored in its holding bay. When they docked, crowds had gathered to see the ship that had solved part of the ancient human mystery. I didn't expect so many people, said Jaiwoo as she looked out the window at the waiting crowd. Humans have always fascinated other species, said Miho. Even after they vanished, stories about them continued to grow. A group of official-looking people waited at the dock. They wore the blue uniforms of the Galactic Council. They want the artifact right away, said Commander Dohyun. But first, we should show them what we've learned. In a large meeting room on the station, scientists from 12 different species gathered to hear the Horizon cruise report. Many had traveled for days to get there. Miho stood to speak first. His orange skin had regained its healthy glow after the long journey home. For thousands of years, we believed humans were extinct, he began. We thought their civilization ended in some great disaster. But their final message tells a different story. He played the recording they had found, this is the final record of humanity. If you are hearing this, we have succeeded. Our bodies may perish, but our consciousness endures. One of the council scientists, a tall being with silvery fur, raised a hand. What does this mean, consciousness endures? How can minds exist without bodies? That's what I've been researching, said Miho. He showed old human documents on a large screen. In their final years, humans worked on something called the Transcendence Project. They were trying to move their minds into a different form, not biological, not mechanical, but something new. That's impossible, said another scientist. Mind cannot exist without brain. For us, perhaps, replied Miho. But humans did things differently. Look at this. He displayed an old human research paper that talked about quantum consciousness patterns and substrate-independent minds. I don't understand most of their science, admitted Miho. But I believe they found a way to change themselves to become beings of pure information, or energy, or something we don't yet understand. The room filled with doubtful murmurs. Jaiwoo stepped forward to help. Consider the artifact itself, she said. By all known science, its power source should have failed after 100 years at most. Yet it still functions perfectly after 50,000 years. How is this possible unless someone or something is maintaining it? This silenced the doubters. The power source was indeed a mystery that no one could explain. Hyunwoo spoke next, showing detailed scans of the artifact. The power crystal doesn't consume energy in any way we understand. It seems to pull energy from somewhere else, perhaps from between dimensions. In the back of the room sat Elder Subin, the oldest member of the council. Her skin was pale and wrinkled with great age. She had been quiet until now. "I have lived 300 years," she said, her voice soft but clear. "And in all that time, I have heard many stories about the humans. Most seem like children's tales, humans building cities in a day, humans talking to their machines like friends, humans traveling through time." She stood slowly, leaning on a walking stick. "I never believed these stories. But now I wonder if we have underestimated this species all along. What if they did find a way to transcend physical form? What would such beings become after 50,000 years?" The room fell silent as everyone considered this question. "The artifact's message says they will return," said Commander Dohayan. "But how? And when?" "Maybe they never left," suggested Jaiwu. "Maybe they've been here all along, watching us in some form we cannot detect." As if in answer to her words, something strange happened. The lights in the room flickered. Every screen and computer terminal went dark for 3 seconds. When they came back on, each displayed the same symbol, a circle with an arrow pointing outward. "How did that happen?" asked one of the scientists, voice shaking. No one had an answer. The symbol remained on every screen for exactly 1 minute before disappearing. "It's them," whispered Miho. "The humans. They know we found their message." "But what do they want?" asked Commander Dohayan. Elder Sabine smiled slightly. "I think we'll find out soon. After 50,000 years of waiting, I believe they are finally ready to speak with us." Outside the station's windows, stars shone steadily in the blackness. Somewhere among them, or perhaps everywhere at once, the children of Earth were watching and preparing. 50 years passed since the discovery of the human artifact. The small metal box now sat in the center of the Galactic Museum, surrounded by clear walls so visitors could see it from all sides. Every day, people from many worlds came to look at this simple object that had changed how everyone thought about humans. Jaiwu was old now. Her once bright blue skin had faded to a softer shade. She walked slowly with a cane as she entered the museum. Though she had retired from space travel years ago, she still came to see the artifact every month. "Admiral Jaiwu," said the young museum guide, bowing slightly. "It's an honor to see you again." Jaiwu smiled. After the Horizon's famous mission, she had risen to become admiral of the science fleet. Now she was a living legend, one of the few remaining crew members who had first found the human message. "How is our old friend today?" she asked, looking at the artifact. "The same as always," replied the guide. "Still broadcasting its signal. Still powered by something we don't understand." Jaiwo nodded and was about to speak when her communication device buzzed urgently. She answered it with surprise. "Admiral," said a nervous voice. "You need to come to the Science Center immediately. The artifact, it's changed." Within an hour, Jaiwo arrived at the Science Center where a team of researchers monitored the artifact day and night. The room was filled with excited voices and worried faces. "What happened?" asked Jaiwu. Director Juno, the head scientist, pointed to a screen showing the artifact's signal pattern. At exactly midnight, the broadcast changed. "It's now sending new information, complex mathematical formulas describing how to create a stable wormhole." "A wormhole?" Jaiwu's eyes widened. "A doorway through space?" "Yes," said Juno. "And there's more. The formulas include coordinates, a specific point in space where they want us to open this doorway." News of the changed signal spread quickly across the galaxy. Some people were excited, others afraid. What would come through such a doorway if it were opened? Strange things began to happen in the following weeks. Hospital patients reported dreams of talking with beings made of light. Children on 12 different worlds suddenly began drawing the same symbol, the human circle with an arrow pointing out. Computer systems everywhere experienced moments of impossible efficiency, as if someone or something was briefly improving them. The Galactic Council met to decide what to do. After much debate, they voted to follow the instructions and create the wormhole. If humans were truly returning after 50,000 years, the galaxy needed to be ready. It took 3 months to build the massive wormhole generator at the exact coordinates provided by the artifact. Ships gathered to watch from a safe distance as scientists made final preparations. Jaiwo stood on the observation deck of the lead ship. Beside her was Miho, now very old but still sharp-minded. "Do you think we're doing the right thing?" she asked him. "I've spent my whole life studying humans," replied Miho. "If they wanted to harm us, they could have done so long ago. I believe they have something important to share." The wormhole generator powered up, creating a brilliant point of light that stretched and expanded into a swirling doorway in space. Everyone watched in silence, waiting to see what would emerge. But no ships came through. No physical beings appeared. Instead, patterns of light and energy flowed from the wormhole, beautiful, complex patterns that seemed to dance and pulse with life and intelligence. They spread outward, filling the space around the gathered ships. Then, a voice spoke directly into the minds of everyone watching. "We are humanity transcended. We have explored the spaces between dimensions, witnessed the birth and death of universes. We return now not as conquerors, but as guides." Asterisk. The patterns of light moved closer to the ships, touching them gently. As they did, people began to understand things they never had before, as if new knowledge was flowing directly into their minds. "The galaxy once feared our rapid advancement," asterisk continued the voice. Asterisk, now you will understand why we were always destined for more than our fragile forms could contain. Asterisk. Jaiwo stood in silent wonder as tears filled her eyes. The beings of light, the transformed humans, shared images of their journey, how they had left their bodies behind, how they had explored realities beyond normal space, how they had watched over the galaxy all this time, waiting for the right moment to return. "We offer you a choice," asterisk said the voice. Asterisk, continue as you are, or join us on the next step of evolution. We will teach you what we have learned. Asterisk. As the light beings communicated with ships across the galaxy, one truth became clear to everyone: humanity had never truly fallen. They had simply grown beyond what anyone could have imagined possible. And now, after 50,000 years of waiting, they had returned to help the rest of the galaxy do the same. Jaiwo smiled as she realized that this was not an ending, but a beginning, the start of the galaxy's next great adventure.